Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I am here to bring you a battle between two Core Set 2021 sealed decks and the Defeat a God challenge deck from Journey into Nyx. Both of these sealed decks are Mardu decks, and so I'll be referring them to the color of their sleeve back, black and red, and we'll be playing two games, first on normal difficulty and then on hard mode. And for these games, we're going to be using three hero cards. The first one is the Harvester, which says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. The second is the Explorer, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. And the third is the Vanquisher, which says your starting hand size is increased by 1, your maximum hand size is increased by 1. Because I only have one copy of each of these cards, we'll be applying them to both decks simultaneously. I'll go ahead and get started by drawing our opening hands. Black draws an Archfiend's Vessel, a Rise Again, a Swamp, Skeleton Archer, Plains, Swamp, Direfleet Warmonger, and Swamp. I do not love this hand. However, it has some potential. I need to draw a red land for it to work, but there are more red lands, I think, than white lands in this deck, so we'll give it a shot. Red draws a Mountain, Hobblefiend, Deathbloom Thallid, Mountain, Terror of the Peaks, Spellgorger Weird, Mountain, and Rise Again. I don't like the fact that I don't have any black mana at all and 2 black spells, but I could theoretically cast these 3 red spells even if I don't draw any more black mana, and so I think we'll keep this as well. Alright, for our first turn, we will play a Swamp over here and a Plains over here. We'll tap the Swamp and cast Archfiend's Vessel. This is a 1/1 human cleric with lifelink, and when it enters the battlefield, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, exile it. If you do, create a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying. We're not going to do that. And then we'll play 2 mountains over here, tap them both to cast a Hobblefiend. This is a 2/1 devil with trample, and you can pay 1, sacrifice another creature to put +1/+1 counter on Hobblefiend. And then we will pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will cast the topmost card, which is Impulsive Charge. At the beginning of combat this turn, all revelers gain haste until end of turn and attack this combat if able. And then they'll also play a Wild Maenads, which is a 3/1 human reveler with first strike, and when it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 3 life. All of these guys are going to be attacking this turn, which is not great. Not great. What we're going to do is we're going to double block one of the Rollicking Throngs, because we don't mind if the Archfiend Vessel goes to the graveyard, so we'll trade the Vessel for the Rollicking Throng. We're going to gain 1 life from the lifelink here to cancel out one of the damages that we're going to get there, but we'll still take 4 and go down to 16. The Archfiend's Vessel will die, as will one of the Rollicking Throngs, and then we will end the turn. Harvester will be used. Black will draw a Swamp, and we'll discard that Swamp. Red will draw a Spellgorger Weird, and we will discard... I think having 2 weirds is probably too weird, so we'll go ahead and discard 2. And then we'll untap. Black will draw a Silversmote Ghoul. Red will draw a Liliana's Devotee. That's a decent draw here. Go ahead and play the Mountain over here, and we're going to have to play out the Spellgorger Weird because there's not much else to do there. We'll play out both of these swamps over here. And then what we have is we're going to play the Skeleton Archer because that can snipe the Wild Maenads, and I think that is pretty important here, so we'll go ahead and tap out. We'll cast the Skeleton Archer. This is a 3/3 Skeleton Archer. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to any target. We'll target the Wild Maenads. This dies, and because it leaves the battlefield, we're going to get 3 life apiece. That is 2 players, and so we're going to get 6 life to go up to 22. And then Red will tap out and cast the Spellgorger Weird. This is a 2/2 Weird, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And then we are kind of getting fat black here without any ability to cast any of that. So Red is in trouble, but hopefully we'll be able to harvest our way out of that. And then we have nothing else. So we'll pass to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap. And then cast the top 2 cards. The first one is in Impulsive Destruction. Each player may sacrifice an artifact or enchantment. It deals 3 damage to each player who didn't sacrifice a permanent this way. We don't have one to sacrifice, so we're taking 6 damage. We'll go back down to 16. And then they also cast Xenagos' Strike. It deals 4 damage to each player. There are 2 players, and so we're going to be taking 8 damage to go down to 8, which is very bad. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black will draw a mountain. We're totally going to keep that, and we will put the Silver Smoke Ghoul in the graveyard because we could potentially get that back. Red will draw a Walking Corpse, which is extremely useless to us right now, and so we'll dump that in the graveyard and then we'll untap. Black draws a Swamp. Red draws another mountain. That takes us one bit closer to the Terror of the Peaks, which we'll play, and then we'll play a mountain and a swamp over here. Reasonably, I think we attack with the Skeleton Archer, and I think we're actually going to sacrifice the Spellgorger Weird using Hobblefiend's ability. So this dies. We'll get a counter on the Hobblefiend to get it up to a 3-2. And then we're going to swing with the 3-2 Hobblefiend and the 3-3 Skeleton Archer to defeat these two. So now Xenagos is vulnerable. We're going to spend 5 mana. Cast Rise Again. This is a sorcery. It says return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. We'll return the Archfiend's Vessel, but because it has that special text, it's going to exile itself, and we'll get a 5/5 demon. And then we're going to pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will cast the top 2 cards. The first one is an Ecstatic Piper. And then we have a Impulsive Charge. At the beginning of combat this turn, all revelers gain haste until end of turn. Attack this combat if able. Alright, since we have 8 life, we're actually in decent shape here. We could have died, but these two are going to attack. We're going to block the Ecstatic Piper with the demon. We're taking 6 from Xenagos, go to 2, but we're going to gain 4 life from the death of the Ecstatic Piper, which is a 2/2 Satyr Reveler, and when it enters the battlefield, Xenagos attacks if able, and then when it leaves the battlefield, you gain 2 life. So we're going to gain 4 life from this, so we'll only lose 2, and we'll go down to 6. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester, but I think we have this in the bag. We draw a Village of Rites over here, and we'll discard the Village of Rites because we don't need it. Red will draw a Shock, and we will discard the Deathbloom Thallid here because we can't cast it, and then we'll untap. Black draws a Scorching Dragonfire. Red draws its first Swamp. Doesn't matter now because we have the win. We're going to attack Xenagos with the demon. They'll trade, and Xenagos will go off the battlefield. And the Core Set 2021 Sealed Decks defeat Xenagos pretty handily on normal difficulty. We'll be right back for hard mode. Alright, it's now time for hard mode. We have 4 Rollicking Throngs gathered for this particular battle. We'll go ahead and get started by drawing our opening hands. Black draws a Swamp, a Windscarred Crag, Bone Pit Brute, Village Rites, Mountain, Swamp, Mountain, and Mountain. I don't think we keep a 6-lander, no matter how much it means that we can eventually cast a Bone Pit Brute, so we'll go ahead and mulligan. Now we have a Silver Smoke Ghoul, Griffin Airy, Rise Again, Demonic Embrace, Swamp, Mountain, Bone Pit Brute, and Plains. It's not great, but I think that this is a keepable hand on the promise of the Griffin Airy, the Silver Smoke Ghoul, the Demonic Embrace, and we'll take the Bone Pit Brute and stick this one on the bottom. Red draws a Swamp, Basri's Lieutenant, Shock, Terror of the Peaks, Swamp, Shock, Mountain, and Liliana's Devotee. This is not great because we don't have a way of casting the Basri's Lieutenant, and we don't really have any early plays. But you know what? I think it is a keepable hand. Go ahead and get started by playing a Plains and a Swamp over here. We'll tap them both to cast the Griffin Airy. This is an enchantment at the beginning of the end step. If you gain 3 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 white Griffin creature token with flying. And then we will play a Swamp and a Mountain over here. We're going to hold this mana open to shock something if we need to, and then we will pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will cast the top 2 cards. The first one is the Ecstatic Piper. This is going to enter the battlefield, and then Xenagos is going to attack this turn. And then we also have another Ecstatic Piper. That's fine. Xenagos attacks. We can't block. We're going to take 6 to go down to 14. At the end of the turn, we're going to use a Harvester. Black draws a Mountain, and we will discard the Rise Again. Red will draw a Grasp of Darkness, and we will discard Basri's Lieutenant, and then we'll untap. Black draws a Shock. Red draws a Mountain. So we actually have a thing that we can do here. We're going to play the Swamp, and we're going to play the Mountain. And then what we can do is we will spend 3 mana over here to cast Liliana's Devotee. This is a 2/3 human warlock. Zombies you control get +1/+0 at the beginning of your end step. If a creature died this turn, you may pay 1 and a black, and if you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. We're not going to worry about doing that this turn. And over here we'll play 2 mountains. We're going to tap out these 3 right here, and we're going to play the Silver Smoke Ghoul. This is a 3/1 zombie vampire. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, return Silver Smoke Ghoul from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. You can pay 1 and a black and sacrifice it to draw a card. But we're just going to tap 1 mana over here, and we're going to cast Shock. This is an instant. It deals 2 damage to any target, targeting one of the Ecstatic Pipers. The Ecstatic Piper is going to die, gaining us 4 life, taking us back up to 18, and that's going to trigger the Griffin Airy at the end of the turn. At the end of the turn, then we were going to get a 2/2 Griffin. Great. And then we are going to pass to Xenagos. Xenagos is going to untap and cast the top 2 cards. The first one is a Wild Maenads. We've seen this before. We'll put this down here. And then the second one is a Ecstatic Piper. Xenagos is going to come in again, attacking, and we're just going to take it because we have gained some life. We're going to go down to 12. And then after the turn, we're going to use the Harvester. Black draws a Village Rites, and we'll discard the Village Rites, and red will draw a Plains. We will discard one of the Shocks, and then we'll untap. Black draws a Swamp, red draws a Swamp, and we're going to play the Plains and the Swamp over here, and black will play this extra Swamp over here. We're going to tap the Swamps and the Plains, and we'll cast Demonic Embrace. This is an enchantment. It says enchant creature. It gets +3/+1 and has flying and is a demon in addition to its other types. You may cast it from your graveyard by paying 3 life and discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs. And we will put this on the Griffin, making it a 5/3, able to brawl with just about anything. And then what we'll do is we will go to combat. We will swing the Griffin into one of the Rollicking Throngs. We're going to swing the Silver Smoke Ghoul into another Rollicking Throng. We will swing the Liliana's Devotee into one of the Ecstatic Pipers. And then we will defeat one of the Ecstatic Pipers and 2 of the Rollicking Throngs. The Silver Smoke Ghoul will die, and all these triggers are going to go on the stack. We're going to stack them so that this happens after the Silver Smoke Ghoul dies, because they all die as a state-based action, right? And then the triggers go on the stack. So I think that's how it works. These will die, and then we're going to gain 4 life to go up to 16. So we're going to go to the end step, and a whole bunch of triggers are going to happen. The Silver Smoke Ghoul trigger is going to happen. This is going to enter the battlefield tapped. We're going to get a Griffin Airy trigger, so we'll get another Griffin. And we're going to use the Liliana's Devotee trigger to tap these 2, and then create a zombie token. And then we will pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap and cast the top 2 cards. The first one is Impulsive Charge. And then we also have an Ecstatic Piper. Everybody's going to be coming in on the attack because of the Ecstatic Piper. And so we're going to take Xenagos' hit to the chin. But we have some things that we can do. We're going to block one of the Rollicking Throngs with the zombie to defeat it. We are going to trade the Griffin with another Ecstatic Piper. And then we will tap 1 mana over here and cast Shock, targeting the Wild Maenads. This will defeat the Wild Maenads and Ecstatic Piper and a Rollicking Throng. And so all of these will die. We will gain 10 life, but we're going to be losing 9 life. So we're actually +1 life. And the Griffin will die, taking us down to 15. And then it'll be our turn again. We'll untap. Black will draw a Skeleton Archer. Red will draw a Swamp. We're going to hold on to the Swamp for discarding purposes. We will spend 5 mana and cast Terror of the Peaks. This is a 5/4 dragon with flying, and spells your opponents cast at target Terror of the Peaks cost an additional 3 life to cast. When another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. And then I think we can't defeat Xenagos just yet, but we can mount a good attack here. We will attack the Ecstatic Piper with the Liliana's Devotee and the Rollicking Throng with the Griffin. This should defeat everything. So both of these will die. We'll gain the 4 life from the Ecstatic Piper to go back up to 19. And then we're going to play the Swamp after all, because things died. We want to use the death triggers. And there's no reason to play the Skeleton Archer out now, especially since I spent all the black mana. And so we will go to the end step. During the end step, we're going to get another Griffin from the Griffin Aerie because we gain 4 life. We're also going to spend 2 mana to create another zombie. I don't have another zombie token, so we'll just put this face down as the other zombie here. And then we're going to go to Xenagos' turn. Xenagos will untap and cast the top 2 cards. The first one is Dance of Flame. It's an enchantment. It says whenever Reveler attacks, Dance of Flame deals 1 damage to each player. And then we'll also cast a Xenagos' Strike. It deals 4 damage to each player. That's 8 damage, taking us down to 11. But I do think that we have this game in hand. We will go ahead and loot. Black draws a Scorching Dragonfire. We'll discard that. And red draws a Village Rites. And we will discard that. And then we'll untap. And we'll draw a Blood Glutton over here. And a Rise Again over here. But I think we can defeat Xenagos without even having to attack into him. So we'll do it like this. Red will tap 2 swamps and cast Grasp of Darkness, targeting Xenagos. This is an instant. Target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn, making Xenagos a 2/1. And then we'll spend 4 mana here to cast the Skeleton Archer. We'll target the Xenagos with the final damage, defeating Xenagos and taking us all the way to victory. So that was really fast and easy as well. This is probably the deck that these 2 sealed decks had the most success against, but we've also played pretty efficiently and drawn very well here. And so let me know what your thoughts were about the games in the comments below. If I made any play errors or rules errors, also let me know so that I may learn from your wisdom. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This is Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.